Alrighty, CNT125, we are working on our troubleshooting lab. In this first podcast, I'm going to do an overview of what we're going to do in the lab, as well as prepping to do the lab. The second podcast will actually step in on the first step or first section of the lab. Okay, so for this lab, I've downloaded my directions for the lab right here, and I have that open in my PDF ready to go. And you'll notice that there's actually two packet tracer files that we need to download and use. So let me give you an idea what we're doing first, and then we'll come back to these packet tracer files. Okay, let's take a look at our lab. Our lab on troubleshooting is broken into two pieces. The first part of the lab will open the first packet tracer file, part 1, and we are going to, this is the network map we have for it. This network is partially configured, but there is a series of problems in here that we're going to walk through together layer by layer and slowly fix all the problems in this network. If I take a look at the packet tracer file that's here right now, you'll see there's plenty of red link lights and things missing. So we're just going to systematically go through this and bring all of these things online so we're connected over to the ISP. So we're actually assuming the role of like a network admin where there is all kinds of problems on the site, and we're trying to go in and fix them all and bring all of these entities, all of these devices online so they can connect to the ISP. That's what we're doing. But we'll do this together. We'll go through layer 1, locate problems, do some troubleshooting, fix those, work our way into layer 2, then work on layer 3. And again, each one we're checking specific things, running specific commands, trying to locate problems and correct them. Last, we will do some upper layer stuff with some upper layer applications and troubleshoot some of that as well. That hopefully by this point, we will have brought all things online, rectified all issues. Then we'll save our configurations for submissions to D2L. That's the first part of the lab. For the second part of the lab, you're now going to do this on your own, and I'll get you started, but you're going to do this on your own. You're actually going to download a second packet tracer file that looks similar to this one, but it has different problems in, and you're going to use this map as your reference. Again, you're assuming the role of a network admin going to this site, maybe it's the York site, Harrisburg site, Lancaster site, whatever, of this company, and you're going in and you're trying to locate the problems that each of these individuals are having, correct them to bring them online. So for the second part, you're kind of redoing this, but you're now going to do it on your own. You're going to use everything we learned in doing the first half of the lab and apply it to this second half of the lab. And I talk you through here the problem that PC1 user is having, what you're locating for the problem, and then what you're going to do for the solution. What are you doing to solve this problem? Same thing with PC2 and same thing with the laptop. And you'll work your way through layer 1, 2, 3 and upper layer to try to locate the problem and then correct it. You'll want to correct it. And then you're going to gather some proof of correcting it to submit that to D2L. But you'll want to take some good notes here on what you're doing, because this is the part I'm interested in. What did you solve to fix their problem? Did you put a NIC in? Did you change an IP? Did you change your default gateway? What is it that you did to bring this user online? And that'll be the second half of the lab. And again, you're going to submit some proof of each of these PCs getting rectified, as well as your packet tracer file. So and then actually at the end, there's some questions you're going to answer about what you did in the lab with these different commands in layer 1 and layer 2 and so forth. So there's a quick overview of what we're doing for the whole lab. So going back here again to D2L, that's why you see a packet tracer file for part 1 and then a second packet tracer file for part 2. So I've downloaded the first one. I have it loaded and ready to go. When I'm ready to start the second part, I'll download this one, open it, and use that to get ready to go, because I don't want to confuse myself. All right, so there's an overview of what we're doing for the lab. When I come back in the next podcast, we'll actually start in on this part 1, but I'm going to give you one more tip before I move on here. This map I actually saved as a JPEG, if you will, so I have it handy, because as I scroll through the lab, I can be using my map as reference. You might want to do that to make this lab a little easier to work with. That's just a little tip. Okay, so there's an overview of what we're doing for the lab. When I come back in the next podcast, we'll actually start on this part one, if you will, the layer one of part one, I should say.